Hello everyone and a very warm welcome to another lesson. In this lesson, we are going to learn about IELTS Writing Task 2. In this lesson, we are going to focus on how to write a solution essay. In this lesson, we are going to learn how to write the introduction. In the next lesson, we are going to learn how to write the main body and the conclusion. So if you want to get the complete essay, I recommend that you watch this video and then you watch the next video on how to write the main body and the conclusion. This is going to be a Band 9 answer. But before we begin the lesson, have you subscribed to this channel? What are you waiting for? Subscribe to this channel and I promise you, you will not regret it. This is because I upload really helpful videos on IELTS writing and speaking. But that's not all. I have really helpful videos on grammar, vocabulary, and even videos on how to speak English in different situations. For example, when you go to the hairdresser, when you go to the doctor, when you go to shop for clothes. So please subscribe to the channel and I promise you that you will not regret it because there are so many videos that are going to help to improve your level of English. Now let's get into our lesson. The most important thing is as soon as you get your question, read it and make sure you understand it. Our question is, in many developing countries, there is a problem with declining quality of air and water from both industry and construction. What measures could be taken to prevent this? Now remember, you're expected to write an essay of 250 words. If you're aiming for a Band 8 or a Band 9, then you should write 300 words plus. Maybe 310, 320. And remember, IELTS Writing Task 2 is the same for the academic students and the general training students. For both of you, the essay is written in exactly the same way and it is marked in the same way. However, if you are a general training student, then you expect to get Task 2 questions that are simpler and the topics are also usually simpler. But your essays are marked exactly the same way and written exactly the same way. So once you have read the question, it is good to underline the keywords in the question. In many developing countries, I would underline developing countries. There is a problem. I would underline the word problem. With declining quality of air and water, I would underline declining. From both industry and construction, I would underline the word industry and construction. And then you have the question. What measures could be taken to prevent this? In the question, I would underline measures and prevent. What measures could be taken to prevent this? So once you have analyzed the question and you have understood it, and you have to do it really quickly because you've only got 40 minutes to write task 2. But once you have understood the question, then you move on to write your introduction. When it comes to the introduction, the examiner is looking for the background statement and the thesis statement. The first part of your introduction should be the background statement. Now, how do you write the background statement? All you have to do is paraphrase IELTS statement, but don't change the original meaning. What that means is you look at the statement that IELTS has given you, and in our case it is, in many developing countries, there is a problem with declining quality of air and water from both industry and construction. That is IELTS statement. In our background statement, we are going to rewrite that in our own words. But we have to ensure that we do not change the original meaning. So, are you ready for us to start writing the background statement? Okay, let's begin. In many developing countries, so I have replaced the words in many with varied. Varied means in many. In many, I replace that with the word varied. Then the next words are developing countries. Developing countries, I will replace that with third world countries. Third world countries are developing countries. So, developing countries and third world countries means exactly the same. They are synonyms of each other. Third world countries, developing countries. And then we move on. There is a problem. I replace that with are experiencing difficulties. There is a problem. I replace that with are experiencing difficulties. In many developing countries, there is a problem. Varied third world countries are experiencing difficulties. Those two sentences mean exactly the same. Then we move on to the next words, and that is with declining. With declining, I replace that with due to a deterioration. Declining and deterioration mean the same. Deteriorating, it is deteriorating. It is declining. It is getting worse. Declining and deterioration mean that something is getting worse. His condition is deteriorating. Imagine that somebody is sick and their condition is deteriorating. It is declining. It means that they are getting worse. So we move on to the next one, and that is quality. Quality, I replace that with standard. Quality of air, standard of air. And then I replace the word and with as well as. As well as. Okay? Because as well as and mean exactly the same. In the standard of air as well as water, that means exactly the same as quality of air and water. And that is my first sentence in my background statement. And then I move on to the next words, and that is from both industry and construction. From both industry and construction. I replace that with this is as a result of. Okay? That replaces from both. From both, I replace that with This is as a result of. As a result of and from both means exactly the same. And then I replace the word industry with factories as a result of waste from factories. Factories means industries. And I replace the word construction with building sites. I replace the word construction with building sites. So what I have done in the background statement is I have rephrased, I have paraphrased IELTS statement. I have written IELTS statement in my own words. But I have ensured that the meaning is the same. You notice that IELTS statement is one sentence, but my background statement is 2 sentences. This is because in the last part of IELTS question, and that IELTS statement, and that is after water, they write from both industry and construction. So from both industry and construction, I decided to begin a new sentence because I wanted to replace from both with as a result of. So when it comes to your background statement, you're allowed to change as many words as possible. Okay, you're allowed to change as many words as possible, but there are some key words in the question that if you change, then you're going to change the original meaning. For example, you notice in my background statement, I have kept the word air. Air is air and water is water. So I do not look for synonyms of those words because air is air and water is water. So remember, you can keep some words if you think changing them will affect the meaning. Okay? Now let's move on to the thesis statement. How do you write the thesis statement? After the examiner has marked the background statement in your introduction, he or she is going to look for your thesis statement. Now, when it comes to your thesis statement for a solution essay, all you have to do is state that there are a number of measures to resolve the problem. State that there are a number of measures or solutions to resolve or to solve the problem. Okay? Once you have done that, then you identify what the problem actually is in your thesis statement. Now, let's see how you write that. The question in your thesis statement, you're actually supposed to respond to the question. You're supposed to answer the question. So the background statement deals with the first part of the question, which is in many developing countries, there is a problem with declining quality of air and water from both industry and construction. In your background statement, you rewrite that part. And then in your thesis statement, then you give an answer to the question, what measures could be taken to prevent this? What measures could be taken to prevent this? All you do is introduce that part of the question with the statement, there are a number of solutions which should be implemented to prevent pollution of air and water due to contaminants from industries and construction sites. In the solution essay, you do not write your answers to the question in the thesis statement. Instead, you simply point out that there are a number of solutions which should be implemented to prevent pollution of air and water due to contaminants from industries and construction sites. Now, contaminants are the wastes, okay, from industries and construction sites. You have a lot of wastes that acts as a contaminant causing pollution of air and water. So in the thesis statement, all you have to do is say that there are a number of measures to resolve the problem. And you say that by writing, there are a number of solutions which should be implemented to prevent pollution of air and water due to contaminants from industries. Okay, industries and construction sites. So that is your introduction. So in the main body, the examiner is going to be waiting for you to write or to inform him or her about the solutions which should be implemented to prevent pollution of air and water. Because in your thesis statement, you have already told the examiner that there are a number of solutions which should be implemented to prevent pollution of air and water due to contaminants from industries and construction sites. So in the first main body paragraph, the examiner will be expecting to hear what the solutions are, and in the next body paragraph. Okay? Now, this brings me to the last section of this lesson, where I'm going to give you a recap of the things that you need to remember when it comes to writing the introduction of a solution essay. The first thing that you have to do is read the question. Make sure you understand the question very well. Once you have done that, rewrite IELTS statement in the background statement. Remember to write IELTS statement in your own words. Some students simply copy IELTS students. Now, if you do that, you will not get any mark at all. IELTS will not accept that statement because it's not yours. So you should rewrite IELTS statement in your own words. But do not change the original meaning. But remember, although you need to replace the words with synonyms, you are allowed to retain or to keep some words that, if you changed, they would affect the original meaning. Like, for example, you can see in my background statement, I kept the words air and water. Okay? The other thing that is important is that in your background statement, you can write it as one sentence or two sentences. In my case, I have two sentences because the last part of IELTS statement is introducing a completely new idea. Okay? But I have used linking words to help me to connect the first and the second sentence. You can see I have used linking words as well as standard of air as well as water. And then to introduce the link between the first sentence and the second sentence, I have used the phrasal verb, or rather the linking word, as a result of. Okay, as a result of. This is as a result of. That shows that there is a direct link between the first sentence and the second sentence. Once you have done that, remember with the thesis statement, it's very simple to write for a solution essay because all you have to do is state that there are a number of measures to solve the problem. And you simply do that by writing, there are a number of solutions which should be implemented, and then you describe the problem, which is to prevent pollution of air and water due to contaminants from industries and construction sites. So once you have written the phrase, there are a number of solutions which should be implemented, then after that you describe the problem, and that is to prevent pollution of air and water due to contaminants from industries and construction sites. Because remember, the question asked you what measures could be taken to prevent this. So there are a number of solutions which should be implemented to prevent what? To prevent pollution of air and water due to contaminants from industries and construction sites. So in that thesis statement, I have simply directly addressed the question, what measures could be taken? There are a number of solutions which should be implemented to do what? To prevent pollution of air and water due to contaminants from industries and construction sites. Now, if you found this lesson helpful at all, remember to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and give this video a thumbs up and share it on all your social media platforms. Remember, I will be uploading how to write the main body and the conclusion of this question. So I recommend that you turn your notification button on. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe so that you can benefit from this channel, and look out for how to write the main body and the conclusion of this particular question. Now, thank you very much for your time. Leave me a comment in the comment section once you have watched the video. I enjoy your interaction in the comment section. If you have a question, feel free to write in the comment section, and I will see you in our next lesson. Bye bye.